Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Good morning, children. I am very glad to meet you all in the 7th part of the second chapter, Is Matter Around Us Pure? In the previous session, we have discussed how to separate different gases from air and how to separate the pure copper sulfate from impure sample, isn't it? Today, in this session, we are going to discuss about physical changes and chemical changes and their properties. To understand the difference between a pure substance and a mixture, let us understand the difference between a physical and a chemical change. In the previous chapter, we have learnt about a few physical properties of matter. The properties that can be observed and specified like color, hardness, rigidity, fluidity, density, melting point, boiling point, etc. are the physical properties. The interconversion of states is a physical change because these changes occur without a change in composition and no change in the chemical nature of the substance. Although ice, water and water vapor all look different and display different physical properties, they are chemically the same. A physical change takes place without any changes in molecular composition. The same element or compound is present before and after the change. The same molecule is present throughout the changes. Physical changes are related to physical properties since some measurements require that changes be made. The three main states of matter are solid, liquid and gas. Physical properties can be observed or measured without changing the composition of matter. Physical properties are used to observe and describe matter. Physical properties include appearance, texture, color, odor, melting point, boiling point, density, solubility, polarity and many others. The physical properties of a substance is categorized into two main types: intensive properties, extensive properties. So, the density, color, conductivity, malleability, lusterousness, these all are comes under the intensive properties. Extensive properties, mass, volume and length. Physical properties are those that can be observed without changing the identity of the substance. The general properties of matter such as color, density, hardness are examples of physical properties. Properties that describe how a substance changes into a completely different substance are called chemical properties. Flammability and corrosion, oxidation are examples of chemical properties. Let us discuss about physical changes first. Okay. Physical changes are changes affecting the form of a chemical substance, but not its chemical composition. Physical changes are used to separate mixtures into their component compounds, but cannot usually be used to separate compounds into chemical elements or simpler compounds. Some examples: crushing a can, melting an ice cube, boiling water, mixing sand and water, breaking a glass, dissolving sugar in water, shredding of paper, chopping of wood. So, these are some of the examples. Okay. Then cutting, tearing, shattering, grinding and mixing are further types of physical changes because they change the form but not the composition of a material. For example, mixing salt and pepper creates a new substance without changing the chemical makeup of either compound. A process involving the breaking or making the interatomic bonds and the transformation of a substance into another is called chemical changes, or we can say that it is chemical reaction. Chemical changes are also known as chemical reactions. The ingredients of a reaction are called reactants and the end results are called the products. The change from reactants to products is signified by an arrow mark. The formation of gas bubbles is often the result of a chemical change. A chemical change might also result in the formation of a precipitate, such as the appearance of a cloudy material when dissolved substances are mixed. Rotting, burning, cooking and rusting are all further types of chemical changes because they produce substances that are entirely new chemical compounds. For example, burnt wood becomes ash, carbon dioxide and water. When exposed to water, iron becomes a mixture of several hydrated iron oxides and hydroxides. Yeast carries out fermentation to produce alcohol from sugar. A chemical change causes one or more new substances to be formed. A chemical change may be difficult to or impossible to reverse. Example, burning of wood, souring milk, mixing acid and base, digesting the food, cooking an egg, heating sugar to form a caramel, baking a cake, rusting of iron. So these are some of the examples for chemical changes. So remember, the definition of a chemical property is that measuring that property must lead to a change in the substance chemical structure. Here are several examples of chemical properties. The first example, heat of combustion. Heat of combustion is the energy released when a compound undergoes complete combustion or burning with oxygen. There are two types are there, exothermic and endothermic. Exothermic reactions are reactions that release energy, usually in the form of heat or light. In an exothermic reaction, energy is released because the total energy of the products is less than the total energy of the reactants. The second type is endothermic reactions. Endothermic reactions are chemical reactions in which the reactants absorb heat energy from the surroundings to form products. These reactions lower the temperature of their surroundings area, thereby creating a cooling effect. The next example, chemical stability refers to whether a compound will react with water or air. Hydrolysis and oxidation are two such reactions and are both chemical changes. Here is an example, iron reacts with oxygen to form the rust. The next chemical property is flammability. It refers to whether a compound will burn when exposed to flame. Again, burning is a chemical reaction, commonly a high temperature reaction in the presence of oxygen. So, flammability is the ability of the chemical to burn or ignite, causing fire or combustion. The degree of difficulty required to cause the combustion of a chemical is quantified through fire testing. There are two types of changes in matter, physical change and chemical change. As the names suggest, a physical change affects a substance physical properties and a chemical change affects its chemical properties. Many physical changes are reversible, whereas chemical changes are often irreversible or only reversible with an additional chemical change. A process that causes a substance to change into new substance with a new chemical formula is called the chemical change. So, what is meant by chemical reaction? A process involving the breaking or making the interatomic bonds and the transformation of the substance into another substance is called the chemical reaction. So children, in this session we have learnt about physical and chemical changes and how that changes or affect their properties too. We will discuss the remaining topics in the coming classes. Thank you so much.